So my name is Nelson and I'm delighted to welcome you to the Hero's Journey. If you're a founder of a business, if you're planning to create a business, maybe you call yourself self-employed at the moment, maybe entrepreneur, maybe you're a full-time employee who's being forced by AI to become an entrepreneur, maybe you want to manifest that idea, the dream that you had, and now the resources are available, the tech resources, you are a founder. Maybe you are a managing director of a company, you are a founder. You are running a company, you are a founder. And every founder, every managing director, every CEO, we are on a journey. It doesn't matter whether you're running a startup or an established business, you are on a journey. There is, my beautiful friends, two types of journeys. There is the victim's journey, there is the hero's journey. So I'm delighted to welcome you into this very short workshop dedicated to the hero's journey, and I hope you will find what you need in this workshop. How many of you here are entrepreneurs or own businesses? Wow, we've got a full room full of businesses. I'm impressed. Thank you very much. So we speak the same language and we will understand each other, and I hope this will inspire you, will give you that inspiration that you need. It will guide you towards bliss. You are on a quest, and the quest is to fulfill your potential. You are on a quest, and the quest is to manifest your ideas in the world. You are on a journey. There is the victim's journey, there is the hero's journey. We look into the journey a lot. I'm a mythologist and I tell stories, and I think we learn through stories. There was in the United States a boy of Syrian origin. His father was a Syrian, his mother was Catholic from German origin. And then, so he lived with his mom and dad. And then one day, his mom and dad, they called him and they said, well, we need to have a chat. And then he said he saw them worried, and they said, what's going on? And they said, look, we need to tell you that you were adopted. You were not our original child. You were not our biological child. So this boy, from there on, he developed anxiety, self-esteem issues, and he had troubles at school. And he spent many years battling, fighting himself. So, he spent many years experiencing mental health. So this boy's name was Steve, and today we call him Steve Jobs. Okay. He's known as Steve Jobs. So he, in the 1970s, together with his friend Steve, so Steve Wozniak, they went into a garage and they created a business. They created a project. This computer here, this beautiful machine called iMac, I recommend it. I don't work for Apple, they don't pay me. Well, not yet. So this beautiful machine, which we call the iMac, they created this technology, which today, it's beautiful technology, the iPhones. So they created the business in the garage. And so they started the hero's journey, right? They started the hero's journey. Steve Jobs, before that, he went on a spiritual, emotional journey. When he spent many years trying to fight this knowledge that I am not the son of my mother. I am not the son of my father. So here, Steve Jobs spent many years trying to understand himself. He was lost, he got into drugs, he got into depression, he was very aggressive, but he was the CEO of one of the leading tech companies. And then everything fell apart. He had to be fired from his company. What happened? Well, how do you create a successful business that generates an income, money, and then you are forced out of the company? This happens many. There is a company called WeWork. It's a real estate company. He was also forced because he's smoking too much weed and he wanted to be wild, so he had to leave the company. But what's happening? There are the 1% of entrepreneurs, they are billionaires and millionaires, they're very successful. There is us, the 99% who just making a living or struggling or making 100,000. We don't get into the billions and the millions. Why? We're all on a journey. So this workshop gives you the fundamental knowledge that you need, my friend. It gives you the framework, because the billionaires and the millionaires, the Elon Musk and all these guys, they're using a framework, right? you can look into Lovable, you can look into Anthropic Claude AI, you can look into Microsoft, you can look into Apple, you can look into Stephen Bartlett, you can look into entrepreneurs, ancient and modern, they're using a framework. It's the same framework. It's timeless. And then if you use that framework, your chance of becoming successful or growing your company, if you're running a startup right now, it goes boom. Let's look into the journey. So this is Steve Jobs. We start in here. We are on a journey. There is the victim's journey. There is the hero's journey. So the victim's journey is the failure to fulfill your potential, failure to manifest that grand, beautiful idea. That's the victim's journey. So in here, we have the two roads, right? There is the road of success, extraordinary success. There is also the ones that hits the wall, right? So we build a business, and then we speak and we scale. We build the business, we hit the wall, and we stay there. That's the victim's journey. So there is the victim's journey and the hero's journey, right? If you look into the movies, there are two characters in Superman, and there are two guys. There is the good guy or the bad guy. There is someone who makes it. There is someone who doesn't make it. This is the victim. There is the hero's journey. The same in business. There are extraordinary businesses. They are manifestations of extraordinary ideas, but then they at one point they stay there. I mean, they don't go anywhere. They don't go anywhere. I should tell a story. It's a remarkable story of a remarkable mind. Paul, Dr. Paul, he 30 years ago, he had a dissertation. His dissertation at university was agentic AI. Extraordinary. And he's a young guy who creates this platform. He has the idea to create a platform because he was an expert in AI. It's an avatar that talks to you. You know the dates and the date of birth. It's like your mom. It's like your friend. He creates this thing that talks to you. He needs the technology, the voice technology. So he goes to the United States. He finds the company that creates the avatar within the computer. He goes to Belgium. He finds another company that deals with the voice. So he has the two elements plus his brain, which is artificial intelligence. And then he needs investment. He's in London. He can't get investment. In the 90s, he can't get investment. He's emailing, he's calling 300 entrepreneurs, 300 investors. He can't get it. So he went on a victim's journey, right? And he almost went on a hero's journey. But then, of course, because his mind is so brilliant, a remarkable mind, he succeeded. He dedicated his life to banking, right? And he found his success on a financial level, on a professional level. Right? He didn't get the investment he needed, right? But he didn't go on a victim's journey because some people, they just, they get into alcohol, they mental health, other people commit suicide, all sorts of stories, right? So he hit the wall. He had a startup, he hit the wall, right? He hit the wall and stayed there. But he's a remarkable mind. Honestly, when you talk to him, he's the remarkable mind. So when you see today, people talk about AI, and the voice, he had this mind. So he was unlucky because he didn't have the investors. So there are many reasons why an entrepreneur will hit the wall. So let's look into the 5 stages of a founder's journey. Again, you are on a journey, there are 5 stages. So you are on a journey, there are 5 stages. So the first stage is Steve Jobs, he's a startup. So the business is a startup. He and his friend, they create a business in a garage. They call it Apple. There is a product. There is a service, right? It could be a product. It could be a service. So, for example, in cybersecurity, 2 friends will create a cybersecurity business. It's a startup. From the idea, from the experience, from the skills they have, the skills manifest. It could be a restaurant. It could be a cafe. So, for example, Starbucks started as Il Giornale in 1982, right? Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, he traveled to Italy. He discovered the culture of Italy. And then there was a newspaper called Il Giornale. He returned to the US, and then he found he could create a new cafe, an Italian-style cafe called Il Giornale. It was a startup. He had to raise investment. He spoke to 300 investors. And then the original owners of Starbucks, they wanted to retire and do something else. He then got the rights to the intellectual property of Starbucks. He changed the name to Starbucks. He was a startup. So OpenAI is a startup. Anthropic is a startup, but it's a different type of startup because it generates billions in revenue, right? OpenAI is losing money, but still is a startup. So I would say between from 0 to 5 years is a startup, right? With the artificial intelligence is that now we have the ability to scale the startup faster. Yeah, faster because of agentic organizational chart. We're going to look into this. So first stage of the founder's journey is a startup. So we create a company. You can be a designer, a web designer. You can be a public speaker, a coach. I mean, Tony Robbins, he had a startup. He used to walk on fire. He used to walk on fire. Psychology. So every single business that exists today was once a startup. IBM was once a startup. Okay? So on the startup stage, in the first stage, is an idea that manifests itself and he acquires local clients. It's a local business. I sell to my mom and dad, my brothers and sisters, my cousins, my friends' cousins. They know me. I'm on Instagram. They follow me. As I sell this. This is the first stage. And then we can get investment, we win prizes, and we're starting to grow. Yeah, so we have a real product, we have a real service, we have refined this thing. Now we are known by our peers on a local level. We can even get maybe some form of investment if we are lucky, right? So it's growth, there is excitement, there is energy, and we might even get new partners or new employees. We might invest in marketing to grow this thing because we are exciting. This is exciting. So Steve Jobs went through this with Steve Wozniak, right? And the first computer, wow, it looks like. And then it's refined. Wow, this is Apple. It becomes the main trend. Is fighting with Microsoft, with the XP, with the Intel, and all these kinds of companies at the time, right? So, but then there is a stage when there is a crisis. It's the stagnation stage. So if you look into your journey, you will find this. Excitement, and then there is a crisis. There are many reasons we're going to look into this. It could be as part of the 5 dimensions. It could be the health of the founder takes a hit. It could be the divorce. It could be just depression. It could be addiction to alcohol or cocaine, or the business is doing so well, I'm going partying like an animal, and then I get addicted. And then I go down, right? It could be lack of revenue, lack of funding. It could be the change in the market. So if you create a SaaS company now, and then comes Anthropic, and then wipes you out by introducing a new feature. So, whoa, it's a crisis. So a crisis also manifests itself as a stagnation. You are an entrepreneur with 10, 15 years experience. You make money, but nobody really, you don't make £1 million a month or $1 million a month. Because nobody knows you. People buy your products and services, but nobody knows who's behind this, really. He's the founder, but, So we can have capital and we're still in stagnation. So Stephen Bartlett, he created a marketing business, startup in Manchester while he was at university, growth, even sold the company, but he was still unknown in the world. He was known among his peers, right? So this is stagnation. With stagnation, okay, I'm going to have a lifestyle, enjoy the rest of my life traveling or living a lifestyle, have millions in the bank now, or I don't have any millions in the bank. I'm just struggling. I'm just surviving. Think of a fitness coach, just surviving. Has to keep training people for years and years and years just to survive. Stagnation. Many businesses, I would say maybe 95% of businesses in the world, they get stuck on stage number 3. This could be intellectual, it could be tech, it could be finance, it could be product, because there are new products in the marketplace. It becomes a commodity. So OpenAI is going through this. Startup, great product. Everybody is talking about it. Everybody loves it. Growth, yes, new investors. Apple is investing. Microsoft is investing. Nvidia is investing. SoftBank is investing. And then, whoa, there is a new player in the market. It's called Anthropic. It's called Claude. It's very powerful. So the users are moving. There are issues with the founder. There is an agreement with the U.S. government. Crisis. More than 1 million users migrate into a new company in less than 24 hours. Whoa, what's happening? It's crisis. And then the company spends time and money trying to respond to the crisis, trying to react to the crisis. Why? Because they don't have this framework. If you have this framework as an entrepreneur, you are proactive. If you don't have the framework, you will be forced to become reactive when you hit one of these stages. And many entrepreneurs, they have the money, right? But they are stagnant. Yeah, they are stagnant. So then the fourth stage is positioning and communication. Okay, so in the first 3 stages, you are making maybe, I don't know, you're making, it could be 100,000, maybe 10 million. Once you reach the 4th stage of positioning and communication, that's when you're moving to 100 million. Yeah, that's when you're moving to 100 million. And then this stage it precedes number 5, of course. Number 4 is the door, are the doors that opens number 5. So number 4, if you do number 4 effectively, it opens the number 5 by default. Again, you don't have to be established business to do this. You can be a startup. Very smart, okay? So Lovable, $1 billion business, they were very smart. They did this, okay? They did this. This can take, it depends where you are in your journey, your intellectual development, your ambition. This could be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. In today's age, it doesn't have to be 20 years. It could be 12 months to get to number 5. Some businesses, they're just stuck on number 3 for a very long time. Very long time. So exponential growth is when we move from being local into global. So software companies, they tend to do this effectively if properly. They go exponential growth very, very quickly. So Whisperflow is an application which you use to talk to computers. You don't have to type. It's global. So Claude Code was launched, I don't know, maybe less than 12 months ago. Is in, 23, 40 countries now. It's loved. It's global. It's exponential. And then you will see Dario Amodei, the co-founder of Anthropic, even Sam Altman, they're using this framework. Of course, I don't want to. It would be nice for them to say, oh yes, we got this from Nelson, of course, but they've been on a journey for a long time, but they're using this framework. They're still on a startup, but then is already experiencing exponential growth. And I'm going to look into the reasons why. And the reasons, if you go into YouTube and put Dario Amodei, you will see. He's in the World Economic Forum, he's in podcasts, he's doing interview after interview. He's positioning and communication. Positioning and communication. If you look into the journey of Steve Jobs creates the startup, experienced growth, there is a huge crisis on which he has to be thrown out of the company. And the Apple is now going down, is now almost bankrupt. They call him and say, Steve, yeah, we're at the board of Apple and we will want to talk to you. You can come to us. We don't have any money. This thing is going down. Maybe you as one of the co-founders, you know how to fix this thing. This thing is your baby. Your baby's dying and you need to come here. We don't have any money. He said, okay, you can pay me $1. I will get the shares. So he came back and then he cut all the products in Apple, all the distractions, all the money-making products. He cut them, the printers and all these things. He said, no, we're going to now focus on a minimal products, but I will be the main sales guy. What, Steve? I'll be the one sales guy. We're going to organize a conference called Apple Keynote, and I will be with my iPhone. I will present into the keynote, and then you'll see it. I will talk about I'm not the technical guy, but I will talk about the products we are selling. So positioning as an expert, as a reliable supplier, as a reliable source, as the coach, as the teacher who's teaching, you teaching your own products and services. Positioning, voice. So we move from crisis to voice, right? But many entrepreneurs, they think, no, we need to rebuild these things. We are in crisis. There is not much money coming. Revenue is going down. We need to find investors. We need to keep building. Yeah, but bro, it's not about the building because you already built these things, or sister. You already built these things. Now is voice. So we move from building into voice. Now, this is ideal if there are founders, more than one founder in the business. Some of the founders will keep driving the development. One of the founders will take the role of the voice. This is positioning. So intellectual property, books, YouTube videos, conferences, events, so one individual becomes the voice. So that's what Steve Jobs did. Steve Jobs, he was very disturbed psychologically, so he embraced Japanese culture, right? And this Japanese culture is Zen Buddhism, on which you wear black turtleneck here is all black, and then jeans and trainers. The first CEO to do that. Before Steve Jobs, the CEO, were all in the office. You need to talk to know what they think. You need to talk to the PR and the secretary and the personal assistant. Steve Jobs said, no, you just film me talking about what we do here. So then he becomes the personal brand. The personal brand of Steve Jobs became even more powerful than Apple. People then bought the personal brand and then they follow the business. What many entrepreneurs do, what I tend to do, what I did, what many of us do, is that we create a business and we think people will come into the business. My voice is irrelevant. I'm going to stay behind the screen. I know my clients and my emails. I'm going to email people, but that's it. And then people will come and buy the business. When in reality, this has changed. The exponential growth, it starts from here. Voice, the voice overcomes the crisis, it creates the growth, and then people fall into the startup. What people tend to do is, okay, I have the business, you'll come, and you will eventually experience exponential growth. It has changed. So the journey has changed. The sequence is the same, but then the sequence has changed. We start from number 5 right now. Okay? So this is Steve Jobs. It's an idea. To a local name is an apple, right? So we had this. Idea becomes an offer. Stage 2, there is growth. Repeat clients. Stage 3, there is an energy, right? And there is a risk, right? And then we hit number 3. This is the wall. This is the wall. Steve Jobs got divorced. Steve Jobs had to leave Apple. Everything is falling apart. And then in your journey, it might be your health. It might be your divorce as well. It might be the business. It might be lack of customers. It might be a disagreement with the co-founder because we are fighting for the shares of the company. We are fighting how the company is run. So we need to close this thing. I'm going my way. You're going your way, right? So this is the wall, right? This is the wall. Are we going to survive the wall? If you are running a startup, this is beautiful because how is the wall going to come to us? You can actually use this. You can transcribe this talk and put in Claude. And I said, I run X business. When is the wall coming? What type of the wall could we experience, for example? Yeah, is when the product becomes a commodity, right? So, well, really, commodity trap, the capital trap. So the product or service becomes a commodity. There is not enough capital. The mindset, the psychology of the founders, is conflict orientated. It's war. It's competition. It's no learning, it's no teaching, it's no evolving, it's war. And then there is the life trap, personal crisis, health, family, identity, it comes into the work. Well, I'm going to a difficult divorce. I can't sleep, I'm stressed. So the stress from the family, it comes into the business. Or I'm not looking after my diet. I'm type 2 diabetes, now I have to take medication, I can't sleep. Right. I'm type 1 diabetes, or my wife has cancer, or I'm addicted to pornography, I'm addicted to alcohol. It's the personal life, it creates the crisis. 99% of businesses in the world, if the entrepreneur survives the crisis, they will succeed. But many, they don't. They fail to overcome the crisis. Either it's the personal life, the capital, or the mindset, right? Or the commodity. We come to number 4, stage number 4. This is the communication. The more you communicate, this is how you're going to grow the business. I wrote a book called The Penguin Entrepreneur Strategy, and then I had a YouTube channel. And then one day, a guy in America, very brilliant guy, very intelligent guy, he watched it. And then he started to follow me. He got in touch. Today, me and him were business partners. He's still in America. We never met in person. We wrote one of the most powerful books of the 21st century. It's called The 5 Rules. I had the vision, or maybe I seen the 5 rules, but he had the entire picture. So me and him, we were able to write this book because I put myself out there with my voice. It was the voice who got him, right? So in the 21st century, we created through the voice. So Apple, AI, you talk to AI. It's the voice. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was God. This is in the Bible. The Word was God. So if the Word was God, why are you not writing that book? Because I'm not a writer, it's too early for me. Why are you not running a podcast as a business? We are tech people. We are into, I don't know, we are into risk management. We are into Q&A testing. We don't do... We are a recruitment business. Recruitment business have no podcasts. Well, the CEO of a major company is traveling every single day from London to the Cotswolds. And then he listens to podcasts while he's there. So Stephen Bartlett was a guy who, he sold his business, but I didn't know Stephen Bartlett. Then he wrote a book called The Diary of a CEO, and then the book became a podcast. It's global. From a local entrepreneur, it's global. It's stage number 4. You have to communicate. One of you, if you're 2 founders, we have to create a YouTube channel. We have to create a podcast. We have to write a book. Okay, so this is the founder's hero's journey. Look carefully. The ones who don't get involved into this, they just become alone. They struggle to attract investors. You have a business. How is an investor going to find you? Well, you need to go to a conference. You need to send them an email to raise funding. It's the hard way. You can still do it. Or you can use the voice. It's communication. So the Prime Minister of England has to go every Wednesday, and he has no choice. He has to go into the Parliament and talk. Donald Trump, he uses his what is called social or whatever. I don't know, the social. He has his own social media. The journalists go and see what's being posted there. And sometimes at 3 a.m. the guy is just like unconventional approach, but it's communication, right? Jesus, communication. Prophet Muhammad, communication. It becomes the Quran, right? It becomes the Bible. It becomes, the framework is there if you can see it. So Jesus created one of the biggest global companies in the world. There was no technology. There was no Wi-Fi. But it's still today. Why? Because of communication. He was able to communicate his ideas. Some people took his ideas and rewrote them in their own version, I don't know, but then he was able to share his ideas. Leonardo da Vinci, he was a painter, but he was also a writer. Communication, he became a global. So how many painters were around Leonardo da Vinci in the Renaissance? We have Michelangelo, we have Giotto before that, Giotto. They were all very talented Italian classicists, but one, Leonardo da Vinci, 2, Michelangelo. Go into the Sistine Chapel, that's communication. Go into the Greeks. So yes, we have different industries and the same framework, the same move. Steve Jobs from the United States, huge psychological crisis during childhood and teenage years, rebellion and struggles, inner struggles. He found Zen Buddhism, he healed himself. And he used it. That's him. Before Steve Jobs, you didn't see CEOs wearing jeans and relaxing. They didn't. It was a suit and all very executive, right? Private jets. You couldn't see them. He said, no, I'm coming close to the community, to the people, to the followers. Apple is the religion, and I'm going to share the gospel of Apple. And then Steve Jobs, marketing. So this is technology, this is marketing. He writes a book called The Diary of a CEO. And then it becomes a global company. He makes 20 million a year just with The Diary of a CEO, with the YouTube. Just the communication, the voice. Find your voice, and then the people will find you. There is no need to sell anything. There is no need for hard sale or trying to persuade people. Is the voice. There is a guy on YouTube, Nick, and then Nick is a Canadian guy who started his own YouTube channel to talk about AI. He makes 300,000 a month, just voice. He implements AI into businesses, but he teaches AI, it's just voice. Sarah Davis, because you can think this is just males. No, Sarah Davis, I didn't know Sarah Davis until she went into Dragon's Den. She's a successful entrepreneur. She was already successful back then, but then she went into Dragon's Den, bang, explosion. Explosion. Exponential growth. Thanks to communication, thanks to the voice. So these have mastered the stage number 4, and now by default, the doors open for stage number 5. The investment, the clients, the business. Honestly, it doesn't really matter the size of your business. You have a story to tell. We need to learn the story of the founder. This is an emotional. There are 5 levels of content, right? 5 types of content. We have educational content. We have psychological content, we have emotional content, we have commercial content, right? And then of course we have the content that brings in the community, right? So we have emotional, we have educational, we have psychological, there is also the strategic. The strategic content is that how do we positioning? How are we positioning our business through the content? Because remember, to scale a business, you will always need funding. You will always need more revenue. Now, as part of your lead generation, how do you get the lead generation? You can use adverts, YouTube and Meta ads. You will burn a lot of money. In the short term, it works. In the long term, you want to use content-driven marketing. It works 100%. Look at Steve Jobs. How many people used to share the latest Apple? As soon as the keynote started, I mean, people were just sharing on Twitter back then. But hey, Steve Jobs has now said this is the new iPhone, this is how it looks like. And so he was more, his personal brand, because that's what you're creating through the content, it was more powerful than the corporate brand. This is the mistake. I'm going to create a business, is corporate brand. I'm going to neglect my personal brand. I have 20 years experience. I have 30 years experience. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. But I don't know you. I'm not emotionally connected to you, right? So Sarah Davis, and then something you will see, here we have in the United States, as a case study, we have Thomas. Thomas, his grandma created a business in the 1960s, Truck. She was one of the first females, black female entrepreneurs of a generation in North Carolina. Very, 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 very special human being. And then the business was passed to his father. His father wanted him to take over the business. And then he went on his journey, and then he returned home to his family. He took over the business. And he said, I'm going to grow this thing. So what we're going to do, we need to be in the 21st century. You are very good with the business, but we need content. We need intellectual property. We need a book. We need a podcast. We need videos. We need events. We need public speaking. We need engagement. You need to go out there and preach the gospel of your business. So we help him to write a book. The whole thing, the content is produced, so he's growing. So he's reaching people from different states, because the business at one point was just local, right? So now it's becoming national and eventually global. Driven by what? By the voice, the communication, the story. Karen spent 10 years working for the NHS. One day she decided to leave the NHS, and then she created a startup, hit the wall. Nelson, what do I do? Write a book. So many speech and language therapists, it's just a one-man's band or one-woman's band or two partners. She has clients in Canada, in Australia, in the United States who are paying not £35 an hour, £1,000 for the framework that she created. So she evolved from crisis, from a hard worker to a smart worker who's still doing what she loves doing, but is now selling the framework, selling the philosophy rather than just the service. How do you ignite? How do you create exponential growth? We are almost finishing this. I want to make it as short as possible. So there are two types of organizational charts. There is the traditional organizational chart. We have the founder. We have operations, finance, marketing, sales, HR. Great, is necessary. But this is all mostly manual, right? We're depending on people. And people get sick and get divorced and they get upset and they want more money. Okay, it's linear growth. But now we have, right, for us to attain that exponential growth, becoming 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion in less than in 5 years or 3 years, we have a agentic organizational chart. We have new departments, things like branding. The tech is taken care of, Cloud Code and Codex and all these boys, they can just code 24/7, the agents. We have the media. We have an academy as part of your business. You have an academy. We have events. You are organizing events. You're not just attending events. You're also organizing events. You have design. So Cloud Design takes care of the design. This presentation was made on Cloud Design. It's smashing. It's beautiful. We have sales. We have HR. We have marketing. We have ops. It's agentic, meaning it's 24/7. So we move from being the operator to becoming the orchestrator in the business. So there is... So the domain expert is very important now, but now is the orchestration that really drives the business. So these are the two, it's an important evolution in your journey from stage number 3. Many businesses get stuck on stage number 3 because it's crisis, because they don't have enough people to do the jobs, right? Now we have the organizational chart, the agentic organizational chart. You look after the business, not 24/7. Okay, so AI gives us the opportunity for us to attain exponential growth faster. We don't have to spend 10 years building this thing. It's 2-3 years well built. We sell these things for 100 million or 200 million or 1 billion. So where do you start? Well, you need to codify your framework. So you come to us, we'll help you to do that. Write a book, you come to us, we'll help you to do that, right? There is an autobiographical element, there is a method of both. So the book is a founder's calling. Nobody knows you need to give business cards, right? No, man, just send a book. And the CEO will say, whoa, hey, this brother here is smart, right? So write the book and then take it to the stage, workshops, conferences, podcasts, video. The framework is alive. People talk to me now about the 5 stages of a founder's journey. They know me for the 5 dimensions of framework, the 5 stages of framework. And then this is the IP, is intellectual property. So we have the service of the business. Now we have a new source of income, is intellectual property. Guess what? Which one is more powerful? You're going to leave this planet, hopefully in the next 50 years, right? You're going to check out. Your kids, they can't run the business, but they can run the intellectual property. Steve Jobs' kids, they're not working for Apple. They're not building another Apple. They are enjoying the intellectual property of their father or mother, right? So that's ease, So use AI to replace, right, the organizational chart with agents. Always operating systems that runs the business, and the founder can scale, right? It can. Now this is where we are. It's the greatest gift. This is the framework, my friends. Well, if you are a founder, you're on a journey, you have to build the machine. Write the book, build the machine, share your story, right? And it will change your life. Because for you to grow the business, you will always need investment. How are you going to attract the investors if you're not an expert? If you're not an influence in your field? Now, do you need to have 100 million to become an expert? No, you are an expert because you created a business. You took what was here and now it manifests into reality. So now talk about it. Tell the story, tell the journey. And then you'll be surprised. I told the story of this guy who lives in America, Clinton, one of the most brilliant minds I've ever met. There was no chance I could meet Clinton. Like, there was no chance of me traveling to the United States. I just created a YouTube channel from my bedroom, and then he watched one of the videos. He was sold into what I was presenting, to the philosophy. He got in touch. Now we wrote one of the most powerful books of the 21st century. It's called The 5 Rules. So one video creates the space for a long-term relationship. One podcast, one voice, one video. Look, there is a guy in the United States. He wanted to build a platform. So he contacted some people in Ukraine. They built him. They said it's 100,000 to pay. They sent him a PDF. In the same day, he watched another guy talking about Replit. He took the PDF, he uploaded in Replit, and the system was built. And he makes 4 million a year. He's going to make 1 million a month from December this year. How did he do it? Was the voice, right? He wrote a book. He wrote a book, right? This is the mark of, this is the sign of high-level evolution, high-level communication. How do you get people to talk about you when you're not in the room? Because you have to go to networking events, you have to attend events, you have to go to conferences. It's exhausting. It's the framework, man. This is the steps, right? This is the journey. Where are you on this journey? Okay, you have gone past the startup, is now 3 years old, your business. What is the growth? Well, there is stagnation. And unless there is an evolution of your mindset, of your thinking, to accept that there is stagnation, there is a crisis, then we're not growing. Or maybe there is no crisis. You just need this workshop, this presentation to make you aware that you can move into stage number 4. Is true communication. Now, if you want to apply this, wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are in each country, get in touch with us. Go to the website, get in touch with me on LinkedIn. Let's connect, let's talk, just ask questions. There are frameworks that needs to be created. There are books that need to be written. There are events that needs to be organized. There are speeches that needs to be given. There is the sharing, the sharing of the knowledge. The greatest and most successful entrepreneurs, they just kept sharing and sharing. The guy who created McDonald's, who recreated McDonald's, there were 2 brothers, the McDonald brothers, who were always in the kitchen busy. They hit crisis, they couldn't grow. And then came Ray Kroc at 55. He said, no worry, I'm going to teach this thing. He wrote a book. Akio Morita, the founder of Sony, he wrote a book. Come on, do you see? Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill, he wrote a book. There are many coaches in the world that charge 50 pounds an hour, 100 pounds an hour, 1,000 pounds. There is one that charges 100,000 an hour. His name is Tony Robbins. He wrote books, voice. You go into YouTube and you put motivation, you will eventually find Tony Robbins. It's the voice, it's the communication, it's positioning. It's time for you to position yourself as a reliable source of what you're selling, as an expert who has the knowledge. Don't wait another year until we get it right. No, man, you're walking towards crisis. Start now. So, thank you very much indeed, guys, for coming today, and I hope you enjoyed this short introduction to this profound philosophy, which we call the Founder's Journey. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. I will take some questions, please. The gentleman there, I will start with you. No, the ladies first. Sorry, the ladies first. Yeah, we're going to start with the ladies first. And your name? Claire. Okay, Claire. So tell me what you do. Aesthetics. I could see from the from the registration you run an aesthetics business, aesthetic clinics. But okay, where are you in this journey? Where are you? You already created the business, so you are either here or there, right? You want exponential growth. Maybe you want to create a franchise on a national level. Where are you in this stage, in this journey?